I don't like talking about this night. Not because I'm scared someone won't believe me, but because a part of me still wonders if I imagine the whole thing. The thing is, I didn't. It was around 11:45 p.m. when I was driving through the Mojave Desert, heading to Vegas from California. I was supposed to leave earlier, but work ran late and, well, life happens. I figured I'd make good time, miss traffic, and enjoy a peaceful drive under the stars. But the desert at night isn't peaceful. It's empty. And that kind of silence, it messes with your head. No cars for miles. Just sand, sagebrush, and a black sky lit up with stars. The road stretched endlessly, like it was pulling me towards something I couldn't see. My gas tank was half full. I had a bag of snacks, a full Red Bull, and my music turned all the way up. I was fine. At least, that's what I told myself. Somewhere between Barstow and the middle of nowhere, I saw her. She stood by the side of the road, her thumb out like she'd been waiting for hours. She wore a long white dress that moved with the wind, but it didn't look dirty or dusty like you'd expect out there. No shoes. Pale skin. Long black hair hanging like curtains on either side of her face. She looked like she belonged in another time, or maybe not this world at all. I should have kept driving. Every instinct screamed no, but my hands slowed the wheel anyway. By the time I came to a stop, she was already walking toward the car. I leaned over and popped the door open, trying to sound casual. "You okay out here?" She didn't answer, just slid into the back seat and shut the door. No sound, no weight shift. It was like a ghost had stepped in. I cleared my throat, glancing at her in the mirror. "Where you headed?" "Nothing." She sat with her hands on her lap, eyes locked straight ahead. Her face was expressionless, but not empty. There was something underneath it, like sadness or anger, or maybe both. I felt a chill crawl up my spine, even though the desert was still boiling outside. I tried again. "You need help or something?" Still no answer. That was when I really started feeling uneasy. I looked again in the mirror. She was still there, not blinking, just staring. I turned down the music. The silence hit hard. Then I blinked and she was gone. No door opening. No breeze. No sound. Just gone. I slammed on the brakes so hard the car skidded. My heart felt like it was trying to break through my ribs. I jumped out and swung open the back door. Nothing. Not a trace of her. Just a strange smell hanging in the air. It was sweet, almost like roses. But underneath that, something foul. Like meat left out in the sun too long. I stood in the middle of the road, staring into the desert. Nothing moved. No wind. No animals. Not even the usual sound of insects. I drove off in a daze, heart pounding. I told myself maybe I'd imagined it. Maybe I'd nodded off at the wheel. But then things got weirder. I didn't realize it at first, but I wasn't on the highway anymore. The road was different. It was narrower. The pavement cracked and faded. The desert around me didn't look the same. It was darker somehow. Like the stars had dimmed, and even the moon didn't want to shine on that place. I checked my GPS. No signal. Nothing. I slowed down and turned off the music completely. That's when I heard it. A whisper. Not outside. Inside the car. I spun around so fast my neck popped. Back seat, still empty. But I swear on everything. I heard a woman's voice say, "You shouldn't have stopped." My fingers went cold on the steering wheel. I floored it. I didn't care where I was going anymore. I just wanted out. But the road didn't end. It twisted and curved, always ahead of me, like it was growing as I drove. I kept seeing shapes on the side of the road, people maybe. Figures that vanished when I tried to look directly at them. My eyes burned. My head felt heavy. Then the radio turned on by itself. It crackled, hissed, then played a song I hadn't heard since I was a kid, my mom's favorite lullaby. Something from the 70s. Something soft and sad. I couldn't take it anymore. I slammed the brakes, threw the door open, and stumbled out of the car. The desert was dead quiet. Too quiet. Then I saw her again. She was standing in front of my car, maybe 10 feet away. Her white dress shimmered in the dark like it was glowing. Her face was still blank, but now I could see her eyes clearly. They weren't right. They were pure black. No whites. No irises. Just two holes into something bottomless. And she smiled. That smile. I've never seen anything so wrong in my life. It wasn't joy. It wasn't anger. It was like something trying to mimic human emotion and getting it terribly, terribly wrong. I couldn't move. Then she opened her mouth, but her voice didn't come out of her own lips. It came from behind me. "Take me with you." I turned around. Nothing. When I looked back, she was inches from my face. I screamed. I don't even remember getting back into the car. Just that when I blinked, I was driving again, on the real highway this time. The familiar signs were back. The moon looked normal. My GPS was working. It was like none of it ever happened. Except, when I stopped for gas a few hours later, I noticed something odd in the back seat. A single white rose. Perfect. Fresh. Resting on the cushion where she had been. And that smell, that mix of sweet and rot, it was there again, faint but unmistakable. I asked the clerk at the station if anyone else had come in. He looked at me strange. "You came in alone," he said. "I never drive through the desert at night anymore. I always take the longer route through the cities, even if it adds hours. People call me paranoid, but sometimes when I'm driving alone, I still catch the scent of roses in the air, and see a white dress fluttering in the distance, right at the edge of my headlights." This happened back in 2017. I had just gone through a bad breakup and needed to get away from everything: work, friends, the memories. So I packed a bag, filled my tank, and hit the road. No destination. Just me, my old silver Camry, and the Arizona desert. There's something peaceful about driving through the desert. You lose cell signal, time seems to slow down, and the silence? It's deafening but also kind of freeing. That peace didn't last. I was somewhere outside Winslow. Flat highway stretching in every direction, no towns for miles. The gas light blinked on. I cursed myself for not filling up earlier. The next station wasn't supposed to be for another 40 miles. But then, like a miracle, I saw it. A small gas station off a dirt road to the right. The building looked ancient. Peeling white paint, rusted signs, one flickering light above the door. The old red pumps looked like they hadn't been used since the 60s. There was a single truck parked beside it, but no one inside. Still, it was open. I pulled in, heart pounding with relief. The moment I stepped out of the car, the air felt wrong. Hotter than before, but heavier too. Like something was pressing against my skin. I walked into the small shop connected to the station. A bell rang over the door. The attendant stood behind the counter, staring blankly at the wall behind me. He was tall, thin as a skeleton, and looked like he hadn't seen sunlight in years. His skin was pale, almost gray, and his clothes were caked in dust. He didn't move until I spoke. "Pump 2, I said, pulling a $20 from my wallet. He blinked slowly, then nodded once. No words. No smile. Nothing. I felt a chill crawl up my spine. Something about him didn't feel real. But I shrugged it off and walked back outside. That's when things got weird. I lifted the nozzle from the pump. It was dry. I pulled the trigger. Nothing. Not even a hiss. Confused, I walked back to the shop. But the windows, they were pitch black now. I couldn't see inside. The light above the door was off. I knocked on the glass. No answer. I tried the door. Locked. I knocked harder. "Hey, what the hell?" Still nothing. I walked around the side, trying to find another entrance, but the whole building looked abandoned. Like it had been closed for years. The paint was more peeled than I remembered. The windows were cracked. A tumbleweed rolled past me, and I laughed nervously. I turned back to look at my car, and my stomach dropped. It was gone. Not just moved, gone. Like it had never been there. The parking lot was empty. My footprints were the only ones in the dust. I stood there, in the middle of that ghost station, completely alone. No signal. No sound. Just the wind and the low creak of the old sign above me. Panic started to creep in. I checked my pockets. My phone was dead. Not out of battery. Just dead. Wouldn't turn on. Like it had been fried. I walked a few feet out into the road, hoping to flag someone down. But the highway was gone too. The landscape around me had changed. There were no tire tracks, no poles, no signs of civilization. Just rolling dunes and dry brush stretching endlessly in every direction. It was like I'd stepped into another world. I turned back toward the gas station, heart pounding. And it wasn't there anymore. The pumps, the building, the truck, it had all vanished. The space where it stood was just empty sand now. Flat and untouched. Not even a mark where the tires had been. I stood there frozen. I wanted to scream, but my throat was dry. I was either losing my mind, or something else was happening. Then I heard it. A voice. Faint. Whispering. At first, I couldn't tell where it was coming from. It sounded like someone was calling my name from far away. I spun around, searching. Nothing. The voice kept calling, a little louder each time. It sounded like my ex, same tone, same rhythm. "Jake! Jake! I hadn't told anyone where I was going. No one should have known I was even in Arizona. Jake! I backed away, stumbled, and fell hard on the dirt. The whispering stopped, and the silence came back, thick and absolute. I don't remember passing out, but when I opened my eyes again, it was morning. The sun was brutal overhead. I was lying in the sand, lips cracked, mouth full of dust. And my car? It was parked right beside me, like it had always been there. I crawled toward it, dazed, opened the door, and found my phone lying on the passenger seat, fully charged and showing full bars of service. I checked the map. I was about 10 miles down the road from where I'd last remembered being. The weirdest part? The GPS showed no gas stations nearby. Not for another 30 miles in either direction. And when I checked the rearview mirror, there were no tire marks behind me. Nothing but untouched desert stretching for miles. Like I had dropped out of the world and been placed back in. I eventually made it to a real gas station later that day, just outside Holbrook. I asked the guy behind the counter if he knew of any old station down the road, one that looked like it hadn't changed in decades. He stared at me for a moment, then shook his head. "You mean that haunted one people used to talk about?" he said. "It burned down back in 1978. Whole place went up in flames. Killed the guy working there. They say you can still see it sometimes, but only if you're alone. And only if you're desperate." I left without saying another word. To this day, I don't know where I went that night, or who or what I met there. But I've never taken that route again. Hell, I don't even drive through Arizona anymore if I can help it. Sometimes, when I'm on a long drive and the sun dips low behind the desert hills, I think I hear the voice again. Faint, calling me back. And that's when I hit the gas, keep my eyes forward, and pray I never see that vanishing station again. Next time you find yourself lost in the desert, and you spot an old gas station glowing in the heat, don't stop. Just drive. Because some places don't want to be found, and some don't let you leave. I've worked construction most of my adult life. Bridges, roads, pipelines, you name it. But nothing ever got under my skin, really got under it, like what happened 2 years ago in the Nevada desert. It was just supposed to be another gig. Hot, dry, dirty. Pay was decent, crew was tight, and the job seemed straightforward. Build a solar plant in the middle of nowhere. Lay concrete, dig trenches, run wire. Easy money. I'd done worse. But the desert, it changes people. Maybe it's the heat. Maybe it's how the wind sounds like it's whispering your name when you're alone. Maybe it's how the silence isn't really silent, it breathes. By day 3, we were already ahead of schedule. We had this long trench to dig for the main wiring, ran right through this flat, open stretch of desert. No shade for miles. Just sand, rock, and bones that should have stayed buried. I remember it clearly. I was on the excavator, the sun boiling overhead, sweat soaking my shirt like I'd fallen into a damn pool. The bucket slammed into the ground over and over, clank, 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 and then thump. Not a rock, not metal, something different, softer. I hopped out to take a look. A few of the guys gathered around. We figured it was maybe old pipes, or maybe some trash buried decades ago. People dump all kinds of weird stuff out here. But when we cleared the dirt, what we found made every one of us step back. It was a body, wrapped in cloth, leathery and dry. The kind of mummification the desert does all by itself. No ID, no tags, just shriveled skin, twisted fingers, and a mouth open like it died screaming. We were quiet for a long time. Then Travis, one of the older guys, cursed under his breath and pointed further down the trench. There's more. And damn if he wasn't right. By the end of that afternoon, we'd uncovered 6 bodies, all buried in a neat little row. Same wrapping, same decay, like someone had planted them there on purpose. It was murder, no doubt about it. We thought we'd have to stop the job, call the cops, start an investigation. But our supervisor, Don, came by, took one look, and said in the driest voice possible, "Cover and back up. Keep digging." We stared at him like he was nuts. "You serious?" I asked. "You want to get paid?" he replied. He told us the company didn't want delays. Said the land was leased from the state, and we didn't want to raise questions. His exact words were, "Just some old ghosts. Let the desert keep 'em." We should have walked away right then. But money talks. Rent talks. Kids and car payments talk louder than conscience. So we kept digging. That night, things got weird. I was trying to sleep in my tent when I heard it, screaming. Faint at first, like it was coming from underground. Then clearer. High-pitched, ragged, full of pain. I thought it was just the wind at first. It messes with your head in the desert, you know? Whips around and sounds like whispers. But this wasn't that. This was human. Angry. Afraid. I stepped outside. A couple of the other guys were already out, flashlights sweeping the trench. "You hear that?" I asked. Travis nodded, face pale. "Came from down there." We all just stood there for a while, staring at the trench like it might scream again. No one said it, but we were all thinking the same thing. What if the dead weren't resting? The next morning, one of the new guys, Marcus, looked like hell. Eyes bloodshot. Hands shaking. "I saw them," he muttered while lighting a cigarette. "In the trench. They were reaching up. Their hands. Dirt falling off them. Like they were trying to climb out." We laughed it off. Nervously, but still. Jokes about too much weed, desert fever, dehydration. But then Marcus quit. Packed up and left by noon. Said he wasn't staying another damn night. That afternoon, Don called everyone together. "No more talk about ghosts or bodies," he snapped. "You want your check, you shut your mouths and finish the job." The thing is, Don was scared too. You could see it in his eyes. In how fast he walked past the trenches now. In how he kept a bottle of whiskey in his truck and started sipping earlier each day. That night, I didn't sleep at all. Not because of the screams. Because of the sand. I woke up coughing, choking. My throat was full of it. My sleeping bag too. My entire tent had somehow filled with sand. Like a small dune had settled inside while I slept. I scrambled out, spitting and gasping, my eyes burning. And I swear to God, I swear on everything, I felt hands around my neck. Not firm, not tight, but there. Cold. Pressing. Gripping. When I stumbled outside, panting, the desert was dead silent. Stars overhead. The trench 100 yards away. And all I could think about were those 6 bodies. Screaming. Clawing. Reaching. The next morning, I left. No explanation. Just packed my bag, tossed it in my truck, and drove. Didn't even stop to say goodbye. I didn't care about the paycheck anymore. I didn't care about anything except getting out of that godforsaken place. I heard later that Don went missing 2 weeks after I left. His truck was still parked by the trench, engine cold, bottle of whiskey half empty on the passenger seat. They never found his body. The company shut the site down soon after. Official reason? Unstable land conditions. Whatever that means. I've tried to forget it. Really, I have. I went back to regular jobs. Built strip malls. Laid concrete for sidewalks. But sometimes, I still hear those screams. Sometimes I wake up with sand in my mouth. And last month, I went camping with my son in Utah. Middle of nowhere. No one around for miles. And in the middle of the night, I stepped out to take a piss and found footprints in the sand around our tent. Bare footprints. Like someone had been standing there for hours. Watching. Waiting. Back in 2020, I took a solo trip through Death Valley. The world was on lockdown, and I needed to get out, clear my head, escape the news, the noise, the isolation of 4 walls closing in on me. So I grabbed my camera, packed up my gear, and hit the road. I called it my Beauty of Emptiness project. Sounded artistic. Deep. Pretentious maybe, but I meant it. I wanted to capture the desert's silence, its rawness. There's something pure about wide open nothingness. It makes you feel small in a good way. Or at least, that's what I thought. I spent my days hiking, snapping shots of canyons, dunes, and bones bleached by the sun. At night, I'd camp wherever I landed. I kept it light. A tent, a cooler, some canned food, and a couple gallons of water. No cell signal. No GPS. Just me and the desert. On the 5th night, I found this little spot tucked between 2 rocky hills. Flat ground, some sparse brush, perfect view of the sunset. I set up camp, cooked beans over a tiny fire, and watched the sky bleed from gold to deep purple. That's when I noticed the footprints. At first, I figured they were mine. But they weren't. They were bare. No tread marks, no shoes. Just feet. Wide and long, the toes splayed out like fingers. The weirdest part? They were deep. Like whoever, or whatever, made them had been crawling. They came from the rocks and circled my camp once. Then disappeared back the way they came. I got a weird chill. The desert was quiet, still, but not peaceful anymore. Like something was watching, holding its breath. I shook it off. Maybe it was an animal. Maybe some barefoot hiker. People do dumb things in the desert all the time. I zipped up my tent and told myself to stop being paranoid. That night, I woke up to whispering. It was faint, Soft. Like someone was mumbling right outside my tent. I couldn't make out the words, just the tone. Curious. Hungry. I reached for my flashlight and flicked it on. The whispering stopped instantly. I sat up, holding my breath. Listening. Silence. Then I unzipped the flap. I peeked out, heart pounding. And just as my light swept the rocks, I caught a flash of movement. Something ducking behind a boulder. Fast. Too fast. I thought it might be a coyote. Or a mountain lion. I pointed the light where it vanished, hand trembling. Then it stood up. It was no animal. It was a person. Or something like a person. Naked. Skin dried and cracked like old paper. Bones sticking out in places bones shouldn't. And the eyes, huge, bulging, reflective like a cat's. But wrong. Too big for its head. Too bright. Glowing. And then it smiled. Wide and slow, like it had all the time in the world. Its lips cracked and peeled back over brown, needle-like teeth. I didn't wait. I grabbed my keys and bolted. Left everything behind. Tent, gear, camera, everything. I dove into the car and floored it, tires kicking up dirt and brush. I nearly hit a cactus pulling out of that rocky patch. I didn't even look back, until I had to. And there it was, standing in the glow of my red taillights. Watching. Its head tilted, smile frozen in place, those glowing eyes reflecting in the mirror like twin lanterns. I drove all night. Didn't stop until I hit a gas station with lights and people and noise. I parked under the flickering bulbs and sat there for a long time, shaking. I tried to tell myself it was the heat. Hallucination. Dehydration. But I knew what I saw. I know what I saw. I went back the next day with a park ranger. Told him my story, minus the glowing eyes part. Said I saw a trespasser. We hiked back to my camp, but everything was gone. No tent. No cooler. Not even a footprint. It was like I'd never been there. The ranger gave me a look. One of those "you okay, buddy?" kind of looks. He said there are stories, old native legends, about spirits in the rocks. Watchers. Desert things. People go missing out there all the time. I nodded like I didn't believe him. But I did. I went home. Tried to move on. But something followed me. At first it was small things. Sand. Inside my shoes. On the windowsill. In the cracks of the hardwood floor, even though I vacuumed every other day. Then the whispering. Late at night. Coming from the closet. From under the bed. From just beyond the hallway. I thought I was going crazy. I really did. I started leaving lights on. Sleeping with the TV going. I kept all the windows locked, curtains drawn. But it didn't matter. Because it's still watching. Sometimes I see it. Out of the corner of my eye. A pale shape ducking behind the neighbor's bushes. A flash of eyes outside the window. Glowing. Wide. Patient. Last week, I found footprints in my backyard. Bare. Crawling. They circled my house and vanished. I installed cameras. Motion lights. Security systems. Nothing helps. It never comes inside. It doesn't need to. It just waits. Watching. Whispering. Last night, I heard it again. The whispering was right behind my bedroom wall. Closer than ever. And this time, it said my name. Some things in the desert aren't meant to be seen. And once you lock eyes with them, they never look away. You ever hear about that old phone booth out in the Mojave? No road signs, no markers, no map coordinates. Just a ghost rumor drifting through dusty corners of internet forums and late-night Reddit threads. Most people think it's a hoax. Just another campfire story. But I'm telling you, it's real. And I wish I'd never found it. It started with a simple hike. Last summer, I took a week off work, burned out, sleepless, sick of concrete and cell service. I wanted to unplug and reset, so I packed light. A tent, a camelback, my old Canon, and a hiking GPS. I picked the Mojave because of how empty it felt on the map. Empty seemed peaceful. I parked off a dirt road, locked up my car, and started walking. Just me, the heat, and the sound of crunching gravel under my boots. The first 2 days were uneventful. Beautiful, even. I snapped a few pictures of dry lake beds, sun-bleached bones, a lone lizard posing on a rock like he owned the world. Then came day 3. I'd been hiking since dawn when I saw it. A tiny silhouette in the shimmering heat. Something square. Something that didn't belong. At first, I thought it was a mirage. Heat tricks your eyes out there. But the closer I got, the more real it became. It was a phone booth. Just standing there. In the middle of nowhere. The kind you'd see in old movies. Rusted frame, cracked glass, sun-faded decals. No power lines. No roads. Just desert in every direction. I froze. A weird feeling crawled into my chest. Like déjà vu but sharper. Heavier. I hadn't seen this booth before, but it felt like it had been waiting for me. I don't know why I walked toward it. Curiosity, maybe. Or something stronger. Something pulling. When I reached it, I noticed the dust coating the receiver. No footprints around it. No sign anyone had touched it in years. And then, it rang. A shrill, old-fashioned bell that echoed through the silence like it had torn a hole in the world. I stared at it. The phone rang again. And again. Like it wouldn't stop until I picked up. So I did. And I'll never forget what I heard. A whisper. Cracked and desperate. "Don't hang up." I blinked. "Hello? Who is this?" The voice on the other end. It was mine. Not just similar. Not just close. It was my exact voice, but panicked, shaky, like I'd been crying for hours. "You have to help me," the voice said. "I'm stuck here. In this desert. Please don't hang up." I stood there, frozen, gripping the receiver so tight my knuckles turned white. The voice kept going, repeating itself, words tumbling over one another. Pleading. Begging. "I'm you. I'm trapped. Don't hang up." I dropped the phone, let it dangle by its frayed cord, swinging slowly in the dry wind. I took a step back. That's when I saw it. Me. Inside the booth. Pounding on the glass. Screaming. Same clothes. Same face. Hair matted with sweat. Eyes wide with terror. I was trying to get out. I stumbled backward and fell on my ass in the dirt. My double kept screaming, but no sound came through the glass now. Just the violent thumping of fists and that face, contorted in a silent howl. I scrambled up and ran. Didn't think. Didn't look back. Just ran. I don't know how long I was out there after that. I ran until I hit a highway. Some trucker picked me up, said I looked like I'd seen a ghost. I probably had. I didn't tell him what happened. Didn't tell anyone. But it haunted me. So a few days later, I went back. Not alone this time. I called the cops. Told them I'd found something strange, something potentially dangerous. I didn't go into detail. We searched for hours. Trudged through the sand. Retraced my steps the best I could. But there was nothing. No booth. No glass. No metal. No phone. Just dry, cracked earth and waves of heat. Even the GPS didn't show anything out of the ordinary. The spot where I'd stood, where I'd answered that call, it looked like any other patch of desert. The officer shrugged and told me I must have been dehydrated. Delirious. Sunstroke. Maybe he was right. But I still hear the ringing. Not every day. Not even every week. But sometimes, just as I'm falling asleep, I hear it, echoing faintly in the back of my mind. Like it's still waiting for me to pick up. I've had dreams, vivid ones, where I'm back in the desert, standing in front of the booth, staring at my own reflection inside. Screaming silently. Trapped. And the worst part, sometimes when I'm walking past a reflective surface, my bathroom mirror, a shop window, even my phone screen, I catch a glimpse of something else looking back. Not quite me. Close. But not right. Like something got out. And maybe I left myself behind. The desert hides things not even the sun can expose. And sometimes when it calls, the voice on the other end is your own.